What's good, everybody? Cerebral24. Today I thought I'd tell you guys my favorite X and Y sets. This is going to be a top 10. I know I did a top 6 for DP and black and white, but we're going to make it a top 10 favorite this time, just to make it a little bit more interesting. I like the X and Y sets. Okay, so this is just going to be favorites. I guess competitive play and how good the cards are, maybe it's going to play a little bit of a role, but it's just my favorite sets, really. The theme of the sets, a lot of the cards that I used over the years. X and Y is sort of a recent era that basically we just lost the last few sets, and it's the end of another era. So, I have fond memories, I guess you could say recent memories of these sets. So anyways, so let's start with number 10. Number 10 is going to be Furious Fists. Furious Fists isn't really like one of my, I guess you could say, it's in the bottom because I like other sets better. But since this is a top 10, more sets sort of can make it into the list. But Furious Fist does have cool cards. Notable cards for me are the Blaziken from this set. That's pretty cool. You could say it's even cooler than the one that got released in Primal Clash not long after, because it's modeled after the Blaziken EX from EXT Magma and Team Aqua, and it's pretty cool. I wish it was playable. I wish there was ways to make it good because of that, 4 energy snipe attack. It was pretty powerful, but yeah, it couldn't really work. We needed some sort of partner, some sort of energy acceleration, and we didn't really have much. The Blacksmith wasn't going to do it. There's the Poliwrath and Polydot line here. Poliwrath is a water Pokemon I really like. It's OG line. I didn't really use it, but it's cool. I like the art. There's Pokemon that I hate in here, like Seismitoad EX, so this is why this set also goes sort of down. Sets that include a lot of the cards that I hate or that were a big pain in my ass. I really just don't like. Jinx, and the fighting theme is pretty cool. Of course, I really love the Lucario X here. I've always thought that was a pretty neat Pokemon. Used it when I was using fighting decks. Its flexibility of having 3 attacks, I always dug that. Landorus is a very key card that I really like. I wish we had a card like this again. Fighting Pokemon could use this sort of old school energy acceleration where you just attack and grab an energy. Landorus was a great Pokemon for that. The fossils aren't really anything, and there's a few other nice cards like Eevee that can instantly evolve, kind of like the Eevee we have now. Dragonite EX, I guess maybe you could say. I like the full art better than the normal rare. I wish it was just they should have made it a colorless Pokemon. And there's, of course, strong energy that brings back actually bad memories of Landorus. Landorus just became too much of a piss-taking Pokemon when this came out too. Had the Muscle Bat and this. So it's a nice little set, but nothing really amazing compared to the other sets. Okay, so then we're going to go to number 9, jumping very, very ahead to Breakpoint. Now Breakpoint is a really cool set. Meganium, the first Pokemon in line here. When you look at the set, you got Chikorita, the first Pokemon in. Meganium is pretty cool. I wanted to make this Pokemon work as well, but didn't manage to do it. This set also has a lot of cards that I hate, like, I guess you could say, not necessarily hate, but maybe you could say hate. Greninjas, I was never really a fan of that Pokemon. When it got going, it just became too much. But there's good little, I love the water support theme in here. Suicune, Palkia X, Manaphy X, of course, great. And really, this set includes some of my favorite full arts of basically that X and Y generation. A couple of cards that I really dig, just because they're beautiful. That would be, of course, Espeon X, Darkrai X, and Manaphy X full art. Ho-Oh EX is great too. I'm not sure if I'd say it's better than the one from Dragons Exalted, but it's definitely cool looking. Competitively, it's definitely worse. Art-wise, maybe they're even. Skyla as well is a nice card. Got reprinted here. There's a lot of cool cards. Maybe not as much as other sets, but there's some good stuff here. Togekiss, I guess. Competitive-wise, there's a lot of cards that really, that I also hate here, like the puzzles, like the fucking, well, the puzzles, Greninjas. I already mentioned those. And, oh, of course, Trevenant Break. Trevenant Break was a card that should have never been released, if you ask me. Or at least released in the way it did, having that broken ass attack where it can just do 30 on everybody, a Garbodor reprint too. So a lot of hated cards for me, I guess, that are counters to sort of, because of the decks that I play, they sort of shit on my decks or make my life difficult with the decks that I play. Emboreax is a cool card that I didn't really manage to take advantage of. If only it did more base attack with its big attack, then maybe we could have used it as a sort of a other Pokemon that the Embor, the Stage 2, could have used. But Breakpoint is a nice little set. There's a lot of cool cards in here. I've mentioned really it's a full art set for me. The 3 full arts is what makes it really memorable. I really love Espeon, of course, Espeon EX full art, Darkrai, Manaphy. It's just beautiful cards. Next up we have Breakthrough, the set before it. So Breakthrough is an obvious one for me. Of course, the notable cards that you guys are going to think, if you know me and watch my vids, is of course Magnezone and Raikou. Raikou, not so much. I mean, I love Raikou, but this specific Raikou it was a great Pokemon, but not really suited for the meta. Doing like the Keldeo attack, while good, it needs a lot of energy to get the job done, especially when GX Pokemon came out. But Magnezone, I really love this Pokemon, of course. Gives me the energy acceleration on a Pokemon that I dig. Magnezone is one of my favorite electric steel Pokemon. And the art on the card is great too. The Magnemite and Magneton are also great. I'm really missing the Magnemite actually from this set that basically has Free Retreat when you have a bunch of the same Magnemites down. That's really cool. This set also is sort of like the set where Nintendo, I guess, they really just sort of started to go all out on, okay, let's try and bring Stage 2 Pokemon back. Just the regular Stage 2s. Bring in Pokemon like Typhlosion and Chestnut and Haxorus. Pokemon that, are Stage 2s that really just had their HP improved and they used stronger attacks, cheaper attacks. Maybe it was going to happen anyway, with the power creep, the theme of Pokemon getting more HP and shit. But it really is noticeable, the cards they included. This set sort of pisses me off because it's sort of the reminder as the first break set that they introduce the breaks, which are basically level X's that are just some ugly gold cards. I don't really dig them so much. It does have some good cards, of course, the ones I mentioned. I don't really love the Mewtwo theme in here much, but there's Gallade, there's Zoroark, of course. A lot of just powerful non-EX Pokemon that were Stage 1s, Stage 2s. Of course, not all of them did a lot of shit. Florges was a Pokemon that I really wanted to take advantage of with its ability to decrease fairy costs on your Pokemon. There's a bunch of other good cards, full arts, like, of course, the Brigitte full art, really cool, love it. Assistant of, I think it was the Dream Chick in black and white, and then, of course, later on she did her own science stuff with the Pokemon Bank thing, supposedly. So I really love the lore and the sort of, the lore, that sort of shit behind it. I don't know what's the better word. The story behind it, you could say, the trivia. And Houndoom EX, of course, is cool, full art. Glalie, I wish the cards were better, Glalie. But anyways, good cards though, a lot of good cards. I think I mentioned most of the cards. This really is because of Magnezone, of course, I gotta include this in some way. There's even like a bunch of, there's Fennekin and Breaks and no Delphox, but it does have cool cards, of course. Okay, next up after Breakthrough is going to be Evolutions. If I didn't make a mistake, yeah, Evolutions. Now, Evolutions is a cool set, but it gets most of its points basically because it's a set that brings back a different the card borders and the sort of card design of the past that I really dig more than X and Y and the black and white card style, the card design, you could say, the base foundation of the card. It changes a bit every time, every generation. We have Sun and Moon, black and white, it was different, X and Y, similar to black and white. Then the DP, it was different. The X generation was different, and they were better. This one, of course, it goes back to the Wizards of the Coast, and the cards really just look great. I really love the whole fusion of the new shit and giving us the card style and design of the Wizards cards. They really just look great. The problem is it doesn't really have a lot of memorable and cool cards. Of course, it includes a lot of collectible cards that I really dig, like Ninetales, Poliwrath Line once again, and cards like Magmar, even though they look good, they're not really strong. Dugong, of course, all these cards, Starmie. The problem is they're pretty weak. Gyarados, Machamp, Raichu, even the Magneton, the hollow sort of Magneton, is a good little stage 1 just to use if you're never going to attack. You're never going to use it to attack. But they're really useless. They didn't improve them a lot or at all in some cards. And they just, it was really a weak set overall. It has a bunch of key cards, but most of the set, stage 2, stage 1s, really couldn't do anything. I wish they made them better. That's basically it. It just basically gets points because of that. The EXs it has, they're not really memorable either. They only included a bunch of new ones like Pidgeot, Mega Pidgeot, Dragonite. Dragonite, you know, the Pidgeots, Dragonite, they're good enough, but the EXs in other sets, and even I would say the ones in Breakpoint, you could say they're better. Full arts like Brock and Misty, that's not bad. I like them. It's just I wish there was more stuff in here. They really, this set really had a lot of potential if you ask me. Because they recycled in the Venusaur EX, the starter EXs from X and Y, you know, it loses a lot of its value. It's not as exciting. And yeah, I know they introduced the Spirit Links to make them sort of good, but they should have just created new ones if you ask me. Just make new ones, make a new sort of Venusaur EX, make a Venusaur EX, and of course include the Spirit Links, and then people can use them with the original ones in X and Y if they wanted to. So missed a lot of potential. So that's really all I can say about Evolutions. I dig it, but it's more of a collector sort of thing, and just because I really love the old school reverse holo style and the card types. Anyway, now for number 5, we're going to go with Fates Collide. So yeah, Fates Collide is my favorite of these break sort of sets because it has the same thing like fucking Breakpoint. It has a bunch of full arts that I really love. Umbreon EX, Glaceon EX, Evolutions, of course, what you would expect. But it has Altaria EX too. Kindra, perhaps. I sort of dig it. I wish it was a little better, but it's cool enough. Altaria EX, I really love though. Regular Holo Full Art, of course, EX, and the Mega one. But it also has a bunch of competitive and useful Pokemon too. Like it reprints Strong Energy for better or for worse. It has Regirock EX, which I really love, of course. I really love the Regis. It really pissed me off that, you know, they released Registeel and Dragons Exalted. It wasn't really good. Then Regirock EX in here is pretty good, but then they didn't do anything with Regice EX. We didn't get a Regice EX, and that sucked. And of course, nice little art there. And it has a lot of sort of Pokemon, again, like with Breakthrough, that I really wanted to sort of use, and I did manage to use. Like Serperior is a pretty nice looking stage 2 Pokemon. I love the sort of forest jungle art, whatever it is. And it was a Pokemon I used a little bit in the early days of my channel. And before that, of course, it was before the stage 2s became that broken. I guess is when stage 2 Pokemon like that did sort of 80 for 1, that sort of thing. I mean, these days, if a Pokemon like that happened, it was going to be shit. But back then, it was pretty good. You know, with 140 HP, maybe it was going to survive a bit, and then you could do the little double attack combo and do a lot of damage. You could do like perhaps over 200 damage, I think, if you did both attacks right, something like that. It was going to do 80, 40 on the first time, and then it was going to do, let's see, 120, something like that. It did a lot of damage, that's for sure. Moltres, a lot of good basic Pokemon too. Of course, there's Delphox Break and Delphox, the fossils, Amistar. They look good, but it looks good, but it couldn't really do anything. I also feel sort of sympathy for like Zam, because it's the only way you can get cards since there can't be any Kadabra cards. It had a lot of cards that I sort of used and have memories using, you could say, and you know, just cool cards in general, as opposed to just beautiful cards in Breakpoint. I really love the theme of this set. It's just basically it. You got Scorch, Earth Reprint, Random Receiver, a bunch of good cards, really good cards. Okay, next up after Fates Collide, it's going to be Ancient Origins. Ancient Origins, yeah. So where are you? Because I gotta look at the cards too. So Ancient Origins is a really cool set as well. It's, I mean, I really feel weird putting this set right here, but I don't know, man. It has the Steven full art, so of course it gets a lot of points with that. Basically every EX in here and their full art versions is cool in some way. I love that Machamp and Tyranitar, the regular sort of forms, the regular EXs, they sort of decided to sort of do a little bit different things with the art. Normally the EX Pokemon, they sort of zoom on their face, and we have that sort of prime thing, and I never really was a huge fan of that. It only works with some cards, but on these cards, they just sort of showed more of the complete body and art of the card, most of the Pokemon in the art, and then they released, at least with Machamp, the 10 promo where it zooms on its face more. But Giratina EX is pretty beautiful, the full art. Lugia EX, both cards look great, and I actually used Lugia EX in the early days of the sort of X and Y on format. I had a pretty interesting deck that ran Aromatisse, Lugia EX. I used Xerneas to power up, Lugia, a bunch of other fairy Pokemon, and, it had a lot of utility with attackers. It was just a great all-around Pokemon. The secret rares, of course, are Groudon, Primal Kyogre, and Mega Rayquaza look great. Energy Retrieval and Turner's Mill too. All of the secret rares I love. And I really just love the theme of this set as well. This sort of booster art with the legends. Hexmaniac is in here too, for better or for worse. And it's a cool set. I really used a lot of the techs in here too, like the Reggie techs, Registeel and Regice, Regirock not so much. But those were good techs in my respective decks. Regice for the Primal Kyogre deck. It was a good little tech Pokemon to basically make yourself invincible against EX Pokemon. If they didn't have Lysander, they couldn't do anything. And Registeel was a good little basic Pokemon with a lot of HP, and the discarding effect on EX Pokemon was useful too. Hoopa, man, it's just a lot of Pokemon. The Metagrosses weren't that good, but they're in here too. Ampharos looks good, the Entei are good. Sepital, it's just a really cool set. Maybe I actually shouldn't put it this low on this list, but the other sets are just too good, honestly. After Agent Origins, it's just, they outclassed it, to be honest, in every way. Well, maybe in every way. So, after Ancient Origins, I believe that should be the number 6 spot, or whatever, number 5 spot, anyways. But then we do have, where are you? The original X and Y set. X and Y, the original set, it's probably like the sort of the best of the earlier, the fresh X and Y sets. Maybe -1. It really has, I really love the art theme on these cards. It really just gives me the Kalos vibe. It goes well with the games. They include a lot of relevant Pokemon, of course, even the Kanto starters, as with the theme of you are able to get them early in Kalos as well in the games. And of course this set has a lot of amazing cards. Between the original Delphox, I love it. I wish I managed to use it properly, but as always, it's the thing of getting the cards, getting all the pieces. Maybe you have some of them. Lapras is a useful support Pokemon. This set includes the fucking Trevenant, the horrible Trevenant for the lock deck. But I actually used this Pokemon too, believe it or not, and had a lot of fun using it when Phantom Forces came out as well, and we got a lot of the support Dimension Valley stuff. I used it with Chandelure, and it wasn't the greatest deck, but I had a lot of fun using it. I really wanted to make decks like those work. And, it's really good. Ductrio, of course, for Fast Stick. You guys should know. And naturally, Yveltal EX plays a big role in this. The Yveltals, both of them, are a big part of my Darkness decks since forever. Ever since this deck came out, this set came out. And the fairy theme is pretty strong too. I love Aromatisse. I love the Xerneas that grabs you energies for free. Just a really rich set. Really, really good set. I guess I like it mostly for competitive. But I just have good memories with this set. And, Muscle Band, it includes one of my favorite cards with Professor's Letter, an instant +1, add 2 energies to the hand, a dream come true card basically. Shadow Circle and the Fairy Stadium too, they're pretty good. And even the full art, sort of like a Molga that weren't really good. Skarmory, Blastoise, Venusaur, they look good, even though they weren't so great. And that's basically it. I really like it. It really is a hell of a power set, mostly, which is why I love it, with Raichu, all the cards. And that's basically it. I just think it's a great set, really. And then for I'd say number 3, I guess. Yeah, this is number 3. We have Phantom Forces. So, Phantom Forces is a very nostalgic set for me too. What I really love from this set is, once again, the sort of booster, the Gengar, the Mega Gengar theme, like the horror theme it has. I really like it, even though Mega Gengar didn't see, super competitive play. I guess you could use this attack in Gengar decks if you wanted to, the hit and switch Gengar EX decks. Of course, this set includes a lot of cards that I hate. I'm not the biggest fan of, like the Night March stuff, and what have you, Robo Substitute, and a few other of these cards really made Donphan incredibly powerful, the hidden switch deck. But it includes so many cards that I really love. The metal theme, of course, Bronzong. It wasn't as good when we only had things like the Dialga X here to work with, although the secret rare does look great. But later on, you guys know from Expanded, I've used this with Duskmane and Krozma, and it's pretty fun. It's like another sort of Ray Ilst style deck, and just Bronzong is a Pokemon that I like. I use competitively on the Diamond and Pro days in the video games too, and really happy when a Pokemon that I like comes out with a good ability or it's good so you can use it. So that Pokemon having the energy acceleration of Electric, the get energies from the Disco Prowl thing, it's pretty good. The Gengar theme, like I've said, Gengar EX and the full art look awesome. Florges EX full art is beautiful. The Manectrics basically are great as well. And the Psychic support is top notch. From Dimension Valley, well, basically Dimension Valley, and a bunch of other good Psychic Pokemon like Wobbuffet. I really have a lot of fun memories of a lot of interesting cards that I wanted to make work. Notably, Chandelure from here. I really wanted to make it work, and I had fun times using this sort of deck with Trevenant and other variations. Of course, I don't have games. I wasn't making videos on YouTube back then, but I really enjoyed it. I wish it was a little better, but I have fun memories trying to use these cards. And the Crobats in here, I tried to make them work too, with Chandelure, Trevenant, all that stuff. They ended up being used with Wobbuffet, I guess, to some success, and Landorus EX too. It's just a very good set, man. From Hydreigon that gives you the energy acceleration, I use that too, along with the other Hydreigon from Dragons Exalted, in Yveltal and Darkrai X decks, and a lot of fun stuff, man. A lot of fun combinations. Mighty Anna is cool, even though it wasn't really used, of course. Heatran, really some nice key basic Pokemon. I think it's a really great set. It's just a competitive power set. I like the horror theme as well. I guess I have memories of it as well. I bought 2 boot boxes of these when I was in London, when I was there for a couple of years. And, this Regigigas as a basic Pokemon. It's a really cool set. It includes a lot of my favorite cards, you could say. The Seeker, the Steel Shelter too was a great stadium. The sort of supporter full arts, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like any of them. I mean, I guess I'm pretty neutral with AZ, but I don't give two shits really about Lysander's trump card or Xerosic. Of course, Lysander's trump card ended up being banned, but anyway. And this is still one of the sets where they still included the whole secret rare card with the gold letters shit, which is as bad as the secret rares now we have for Sun and Moon, where it's just a rainbow sort of card. But anyway, okay, now we get into the good stuff. This is probably obvious stuff. At number 2, it's going to be Roaring Skies. Now, Roaring Skies possibly doesn't have as many cards as, let's say, Phantom Forces that I really just use competitively. But, I love this set, of course, because of the Rayquaza team. Mega Rayquaza is a big part of that. I really wanted to use the deck as soon as this set came out, but it ended up being a couple of years before I actually managed to get the cards and use this deck properly. But I love the Rayquaza X full art. I love the Mega Rayquaza X's here, of course. Mostly competitive. Their art isn't the greatest. Shaman is cool, of course, too. And this set does include actually the original Steven, the non-full art one. So maybe the full art one was supposed to be in here too. Trainer's Mill. This is the original set of Trainer's Mill. The full arts, man. Like, this set includes Winoda, anyway. And I love her, of course. I'm a big Gen 3 guy. It's my favorite generation. And the part of the game where you go into the 6th gym, that sort of phase of the game, I really love it. It's basically the transition when you get surfed, and it's really good. Latios is in here too, although he's not the coolest Latios. I'm not gonna lie, the Plasma Freeze one is a million times better, art-wise, and I'd say competitive-wise too. I like the Hydreigon EX though, and awesome secret rares once again. Altaria that evolves instantly, and a bunch of other cool cards. Of course, this set includes Salamence. It really has a good Gen 3 theme going for it, of course, part of the Oras trilogy. There's Jirachi that I really love and used a lot in metal decks. Absol, looking really cool, even though I didn't use. And the Oxys, another good basic Pokemon I actually used in these Chandelure, Trevenant, and Crobat decks with Wobbuffet. A lot of Psychic Pokemon, basically. Psychic rich Pokemon decks. A lot of Psychic Pokemon. Salamence, of course, is my favorite Pokemon of all time, so a set that has it, and it actually has one of the strongest Salamence cards. I really dug. I used it. I did have some success winning some games here and there, but of course, a Pokemon like this needs a lot of support to work. It is one of the strongest Salamence cards, so I love the background, the sort of Bagon at the Moss Dip Town, you know, where you can see the background with the rockets and shit for the science lab. Just a lot of, it's roaring skies. I don't really need to say anymore. Articuno, ancient trait shit. It's a cool set. It really, Winona, Rayquaza, Salamence, you know, the standard stuff you would imagine Altaria, basically are the heart and soul of why I love this set. Okay, I think that's enough said. And the number one, obviously, it wasn't going to be any other. It's going to be Primal Clash, the original ORAS set. I was so hype. I remember when I was in London when, you know, the remakes for Ruby and Sapphire were announced, and we were gonna the waiting game was now started, and of course they were gonna do the corresponding TCG sets as well. Primal Clash. I thought there was only gonna be like one set, but then it was Roaring Skies. Okay, I thought they're gonna do two because I was pissed there was no Salamence EX in Primal Clash, and then they did three. So it was the ORAS trilogy, and they didn't really include any Salamence EX. They just used it as a collection card, and it sucked for the most part, I guess. But Primal Clash is a great set. I remember I was supposed to save money to pre-order 2 boxes of this, and in the end, I got 2 Phantom Forces because that set ended up being so good as well when the cards got revealed. And then I didn't have money for Primal Clash when it came out, and I ended up buying Primal Clash for a lot of money a couple of years down the line when I came back in Cyprus. Not the greatest memories when it comes to money, but the thing is with this set, it includes Primal Kyogre and the Kyogre EX, which is possibly the deck that I had the most fun with these recent years, when it comes to new decks, I suppose. And I really used it a lot. I really love it. It's one of my favorite decks of these recent years, you could say. A lot of cards like Swampert I wanted to use and make good. I did, but it was hard. You know, stage 2s. Even Pokemon like Whiscash. There's Milotic, there's Walrein, Gorebyss, Huntail. All basically my favorite Pokemon from 3rd generation. It's a huge as fuck set with 160 cards. It includes the first set of ancient traits. Rhyperior is another card that I really used a lot with a lot of success. Kind of like the Mega Groudon. You get a bunch of these Rhyperiors out, your opponent can't really target them on the bench, and then you really block a lot of damage with their ability, and you know it can't be really negated easily, or I guess it can actually. Garbodor can still shut that down, but it gives you a lot of defense. His attack throws a card from the top of the deck as well. It was a really great Pokemon that maybe you could say stands the time a little bit. Really strong when it was released. I really liked it. There's Hippowdon, Groudon of course, Aggron. Just about every EX and Full Art in here is really cool. I really like Trevenant, Camerupt DX, Wailord even though it's a troll card. There's Maxie and, you know, Archie of course. Good secret rails like Dive Ball and the Switch. God, it's just, I really love this set. I wish it was better. You know, the stadiums are top notch. Scorched Earth, Rough Seas, Shrine of Memories, Silent Lab. It's a rich set, my favorite cards, a lot of good competitive cards. It's just Primal Clash, a lot of memories. And yeah, when the games were released, when they announced the ORAS games, I was really hyped. I was really looking forward to them. I was so happy when the TCG was going to come out too. I think there was a lot of stuff I was going to say more, but I forgot. But I think this should be a wrap. I didn't include any ties this time, as you guys can see. We did a top 10, so I could include more sets. And I sort of did them in a good enough order. I think I'm happy with the order. I'm not going to change my mind later. But anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys subscribe, leave a like, share this with your friends. This video is probably going to be long as fuck. Saber 24, what's up?